Hey friends, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. If you've been participating with me in Make Do June, we're over halfway through. This week I struggled a little bit to find a bunch of items that I got inspiration to make over, but I found 3 things that have been in my stash for a while and needed some help. Next week, I think I'll have to dig through my house to find some things. But I have 3 amazing makeovers for you today that came out absolutely beautiful. I can't wait for you to see them. So let's go ahead and get started. For project number 1, I had this faux leather. The only thing I can think that it is a wine bottle holder. I don't know that it's big enough for most wine bottles, but maybe that's what it is. I'm going to transform it into something else. So I knew that I wanted to get rid of that rope on the top. I just went ahead and cut that off, and I'll add something else to it later. And I'm trying so hard to get through my stash of unused inlays. And I have a few left from the Hama de la Reine paint inlay booklet. It's beautiful. It's got all these different colors. It's got sepia, black and white, blue, and a lot of different fun images. So I'm just going through it now, trying to decide what I want to do on this carrier. I ended up deciding on 2 birds. And I'm also going to add a few butterflies to it. These are in the black and white. But first, I am going to use DIY paint. DIY paint is a clay-based paint. It's water-soluble. It's very easy to paint with. This is in the color crinoline, which is a soft, buttery yellow. I'm going to go ahead and give the entire outside of the case 1 coat of crinoline and then let it dry. Once the first coat is dry, that is where it is time to add in the paint inlays. And to do that, you'll want to put your paint inlay into wet paint. So these are the ones that I have chosen, and I have started fussy cutting around my paint inlays. So you know that little bitty tiny line you can see when you don't use a full sheet and you just use a small part of an inlay? I can't stand that. So our eyes are naturally drawn to straight lines. So if I don't have any straight lines and I have more organic cutting like I'm doing here around the object, then our eye's not drawn to that little bitty faint line. So that's why I do that. It's just a thing, and it does work. So if you don't like that line, give this fussy cutting a try. So then I added another coat of paint on. I misted the paint side of my inlay, and when it's dry, it's easy to tell. I also did a little misting over the paint. The wetter your paint is, the better your inlay will transfer. And then I also misted over the inlay after I pressed it down with my finger. Now I'm taking a dry cloth and just dabbing off any excess wet paint. And then I'm going to do the rest with the other ones. I decided to put a bird on each side and then add in some butterflies here and there. So I'm adding in my paint, again, misting the paint side of my inlay and the paint that I just added, laying it where I want it, using my finger to spread out and make sure that that paint inlay is making contact with wet paint all the way around. And I realized I did not have enough paint on, so I had to add a little bit more. And then once I get it pressed into that wet paint, I am going to take my mister bottle, mist it, and then dab off the excess paint. And I'm just going to keep going all the way around until I get all of these inlays added where I want them. If you've been afraid to try a paint inlay, it's time to stop being afraid. It is so easy, and I promise the more you do it, the easier it gets. I have absolutely, I'm gonna say, become a pro at paint inlays. Unless I'm doing some kind of surface I've never used it on before, they always transfer beautifully. And I think it has a lot to do with wetting everything. So now here we are, the paint inlays are dry, and you can see it goes back light colored, and you can see those grid lines again. So I'm gonna go ahead and mist the entire thing, all the paint inlays, let it sit just a minute, and then start pulling off. And as you can see, I'm getting a perfect transfer on all of these, and you can barely see that line because there are no straight harsh lines. There are only organic curved lines. So I got all of the paint inlay backings removed. Everything turned out incredibly beautiful. I love this paint inlay. The details on it are unreal. Now I decided I wanted to add a little color. So then I grabbed out the newish Meadowlark stamp. It has butterflies and birds, and they all match this Hamad de la Reine birds as well. And I'm using Iron Orchid Designs China Blue ink to add them on. And I'm using a block instead of a thin mount just so I can kind of roll it onto this paint, and it worked out really well doing it that way. So now I have all of the beautiful stamped images and the inlay. I took it outside, gave it a spray seal, and this one's ready to go. I love the blue and the black and white together. Now tell me, what would you guys use this for? Of course, with the lid on, it's good storage, but what would you store in there? Let me know in the comments below. Or would you just leave it out and put some floral in it? For a second project, I had a pretty large wood round in my stash. I had been saving it for a cloche base, but I have yet to find a cloche that works on it, and I was also saving it for maybe a thrift store marriage, making some kind of DIY cloche, but never got around to it. So I'm gonna do something different with it today. I painted it with a coat of Fusion in the color Putty, just an off-white color. Now I'm going through all my recycled decoupage scraps until I find the one I think looks best. This is a really old one. I think the paper is called Spring Floral, and I do actually have some of it in stock. So I am just decoupaging down. Yes, I'm still using Mod Podge because I'm not opening anything else. So I let it dry, and then I'm taking my little finger sander and cleaning up all the edges, just getting off any of that excess paper. Then I had also went through all of my transfer scraps. I have a lot of those as well. And I found this cute one from Emily Claire that says Home Sweet Home on it. I did have to cut it apart so all of the image would fit and I wouldn't lose anything, but it's easy to do that with the IOD transfers, and it's easy to just overlap them and you can't even tell you cut it. So once I got it like I wanted it, I used the tool that comes with all the transfers, and I just rubbed and lifted until I got it all placed down, and then I added the rest of it around the wreath. And all the IOD transfers are available on my website, including this one, which is so precious. It's called Emily Claire, and I just love it. So now that I have the round all complete, I did give the transfers another seal of Mod Podge over the top, and I want to turn this into a riser, so I painted the bottom, and I had this lone little bronze candlestick in my stash, so I found the center of my riser. I used Titebond Quick and Thick to glue it on. I let it sit overnight, and then this project is complete. I love how it turned out. I love making risers and using them in my decor and in displays here in the shop. This one's available in the home decor section of susieonthefarm.com, along with tons of other of my creations. So I hope y'all check that out. Okay, so I do tend to save my favorite projects for last, and today's final project is no exception. I believe that my mom picked this up at an estate sale. I thought it was a briefcase until I opened it. I realized it was a gun case, so I didn't tell my husband about it. It stayed here at the shop. He never saw it because he probably would have wanted it. So to begin with, I am going to give the entire outside of the case a coat of Fusion paint in the color Coal Black. This is a true black, and it only took one coat and a few little touch up in areas that I missed. And then there was a little label on the case, and I had some of the conservatory labels already poured up. I try to keep some resin ones made up because I use them in my bookmaking a lot. So I had two that covered each side the maker label on the case. I glued that, well, I haven't glued it on yet, but I wanted to make a little background image, so I'm taking the IOD waltz stamp, and I'm just inking up parts of it. I don't want this to be perfect. I don't want it to be in a pattern. I just want music notes here and there in the background. So I'm just randomly inking up parts of the stamp and adding it onto my case. And then I'm going to put it aside and let the ink dry. This is permanent Iron Orchid Designs ink in the color white. And you need to let it dry, but once it's dry, it is permanent. Then I'm taking some of the new Marche des Fleurs transfer, just kind of lining it up how I like it on the case. I did glue those labels down, as you can see, and now I am transferring it onto the box. It came off super easy, always does, over Fusion paint because Fusion has a built-in sealer and it is ready to go for transfers as soon as it dries. I love these gorgeous florals in this book, y'all. This is a build your own bouquet, but I did not have a whole lot left. I only had the one big bouquet. So I just added to it a little bit and then added a few little sprigs here and there. I did this on both sides of the case. And then I sealed everything with some clear wax. And on the label, I wanted to put a little sentiment. I could have stamped something, but I had this little Tim Holtz sentiment pack. They're stickers, but I went ahead and added some glue on there as well, just so it would be definitely permanent, and I put it in the middle of my label. It's a perfect fit. I also wanted to highlight those details on the label just a little bit, so I took some more of that Coal Black and just very lightly dry brushed, and I didn't get it on camera, but my friend Sherry gave me this green brocante wax. It looks absolutely yellow, and even when you put it on, it does have a little bit of a green tint to it, but I like it. I'm not sure how I feel about it, so I added it on to the handles and the hardware, so you guys will have to let me know what you think of that. I did the front and the back using two different sentiments, and y'all, what would you store in this case? I use vintage suitcases at home to store paperwork that I don't need very often, but they can still, the cases can be displayed as beautiful home decor, and you still are using it for functional storage. I had so much fun creating today's projects. There's just something so creative about using what you have. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you the next time.